lot of you said in the last video that I went off camera too much and you couldn't see what I was doing. So I wanted to make it up to you. So here's me on camera. And this is what I'm doing. Hope that helps. Remember, all you need is 18 gauge and 6mm beads. Now, if you want to do one big one in the middle, you can. This is an 8mm. I did a 10mm the other day, but these are amethyst and cherry quartz, two of my absolute favorites to go with silver. And again, you could do it in 20 gauge. 18 gauge can be hard on your fingers when you're starting out, but I went to the finger gym like 17 times this weekend, so my fingers are so buff. Look at the muscle there. Look at that. Look at that. Watch this, watch this. Yeah, don't be jealous. I'm not gonna do that anymore. I don't want people to get upset. I've had people cry, like, you just flex so much, we give up. We can never keep up with you. I know. We're gonna take 4 feet to be on the safe side, because I always run out of wire. And I said 3 feet last time. So this is 1 1/3 meters, right? Okay. Let's cut that. And take your big bead, or your middle bead. It doesn't have to be a big one, but isn't that a pretty amethyst? Look at that. As the world turns. Imagine if there was an amethyst planet. Come on. Okay, so bring it to the middle of the wire. Sometimes if your bead doesn't, always check, make sure your bead fits the wires first. Sometimes if it gets a little stuck, sometimes you can just wiggle it or straighten the wire more or spin it. But if you're really having issues, don't force it, because you'll probably end up scratching the coating off the wire if you have coated craft wire. And a lot of the wire people sell for wire wrapping is coated. And it's a protective coating, or it's a coating that gives it its color. Anyway, bring the ends together to make sure that you have your very middle. That's close enough. Okay, now wrap your middle bead like this. See that? Like that. And we're gonna do something different this time. This is new and improved. We're going to make a loop on each end. So now that you bent them this way, bend them backwards to make the loop. That makes the loop straight. All that scratching is because I have these giant wires and I have to get close to the camera, so the wires are banging everything. They're banging the table, they're banging the camera. Kind of roll the loop in. It doesn't have to be a big loop. It's about as big as one of your 6mm beads is fine. If it just sits on there like that, that's good enough. But once you get that loop good, lock it in by giving it one good twist. You can use your pliers for this if your fingers are not like incredibly buff. Now we're going to do the other loop. And this wire's going crazy. Sounds like a whole bunch of little insects running around. All right, and then fold that one in too. Now these loops are going to come in handy later. They don't need to show. They're just going to be to grab onto things later. So right now we want both strands together. So wrap one strand around like that and get them nice and cool, cute, as I like to say, make them nice and cute. And then together make your first loop. You can make it cover this one if you want. That's fine. That's kind of cool look, right? Yeah, that's kind of cool. And now the pattern basically goes like this. Make a loop with the double strand. Put a bead on the inside. If you're curving this way, whatever wire looks like it's the inside, put the bead on, take the other wire, wrap it around the bead, and then make another loop. But the loops alternate. This one goes this way, so the next loop is going to go that way. So let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's put the next bead on. Grab one of these cherry quartz on the inner strand. Don't get it right up there, just give a little bit of space. And now we're going to wrap this other strand around it. We're going to come around the front and then wrap around the back like that to lock the bead in place. And you can roll it a little to get it tighter or to give it a cool curve a little bit, and bring the strands back together. And this loop went this way. Don't worry about the bead. This loop went this way, so the next loop goes over the other way. Notice how I'm pinching and pinching to keep the strands side by side. And I'm rolling it. And you can get a cool effect if you separate the strands a little bit here and there, but then bring them back together, kind of like that. It's up to you. You don't have to do that. But here I am now. Now this is going to be the inner strand of this curve. So the next bead will go on here, and I'm going to alternate my my cherry quartz and amethyst. And again, this next strand wraps around it, over the top, and then behind. And then this one went over, so the next loop goes under. And as you're doing these, you're going to find that your pattern gets all wormy and twisty. It might not be straight. That's fine. It doesn't matter, because we're going to bend the whole thing in a big giant circle anyway later. So just make it as tight or loose as you like, and then put the next bead on. Use the other strand to wrap around it. Bring the strands together. This one went under, so the next one goes over. Roll it tight and continue. One way to really make them separate and come back together in a cool way is get them tight and then grab the one on the inside, the smaller loop, and pull it even tighter like that. And then it's a dance between not getting them kind of close but not too close, and then having them come back together and then having them separate. That's just a fun thing I've enjoyed getting, practicing. But I mean, you can keep them completely together the whole time. It'll still come out looking really good. Now, how many do you do? As many as you want. With this pattern that I'm doing here, every bead and loop is about 3/4 of an inch, or almost 2 centimeters. And I'm ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's a good place to stop for me. And with the 4 feet that we took, we still have a decent amount to work with. I could do one more set of each, but I'm going to end it here. And what we do now is we're going to roll this into a circle. And I think I did it back. I think I did it that way last time. Now I'm going to do it this way and just see what happens. But just basically, as best we can, try to make the whole thing kind of round. And it's going to bend more at some places than others and make kind of corners. And you want to try to not let it make corners. Try to get it kind of tight. I want it tight, but I don't want it like overlapping tight. And this is, so last time I think I took less beads and I ended about right there. So now I have almost too many beads. So what shall we do? What shall we do? Let's improvise. Let's make this one bend back like this. So now we have kind of more of a teardrop shape instead of last time we had more of an oval. See, you just keep playing around. And this top loop is actually the top loop. I don't need to make another loop. So I'm going to make it a little bigger. Since it's the top loop, just stretch it back out. Did you know you could do that? Well, now you know. And I'm going to lock it in by wrapping these guys across once, like that. And now all we have to worry about is this flimsiness, and that's where these two guys come in. You only need one of them, pretty sure. I'm going to see if this works, but I'll just actually move this guy out of the way by wrapping him out up there. All right, so I'm going to take this back one here, and he's going to come down and just secure everything. So make sure we have everything just the way we want, so it looks good in the front. And if you run out of this wire here, you can take an extra piece of wire and just put little securing spots. If you understand how to do that, it's pretty easy. But I like how this came out. So I think I'm going to take this guy and come, let's see how I'm going to do this. I think I'm just going to coil through here. I'm just figuring this out as I go. I really hadn't planned it out, which is the best. It's the best not to plan things. Ask anyone who's been on a vacation and suddenly got to their hotel realizing they don't have half the things they need to make their hotel comfortable. It's great to not plan sometimes. And half of you really bohemian ones are like, oh, he's telling the truth. I don't plan. I just go with it and I have more of an adventure. And then the other half are like, are you kidding me? That's a recipe for disaster. That's how you end up without your medication and without enough clean pairs of socks or whatever. That's a way to make yourself super uncomfortable needlessly. All right, so that right there just secured it. It's pretty secure. Now this is still loose, but it's really not going to get snagged very easily. And look at that planet turn. So pretty. Look at the planet. Anyway, But all I did was I just went through there, and I just came down and went boop, in and out. But I'm going to make it a little tighter. If you're using thin gauge, you'd want to make it a lot tighter. But this 18 gauge is already pretty strong. You actually don't need to pull it too tight. And now we just have this bumpy little part right there. So that's all we got to worry about. We just got to come down like this. And the way I'm just kind of mimicking the shape of the piece, you're not even going to see that I did anything. Hopefully it'll just be magical. So we'll poke through here. Right, just poke through there. And on this side, let's get it nice and tight. On this side, we'll poke through that loop, that second loop. That's why we made those loops on that first big bead. And now we're just going to gently hold everything in place and just gently roll this through. You don't want to yank it from any weird direction at any given moment, because you can yank stuff out of place. So just gently, just gently feeding it through, taking it through. 18 gauge, you got to go gentle with this stuff, or else, like I said, you'll wonk it out somewhere. And I have enough wire. It's good I left extra, really good, because now I have just enough wire. Now see, that got forced in the back, that big, so we're going to just push it back to the front. Let's push everything back the way we want it. And now, that could use a little securing. Well, we're right there. Why don't we do it on our way back up? So now we're going to go and just kind of mimic the shapes you're already, kind of flow with the same wire, and then you'll hide the wire much better. So what did I say? Right here, we need a little bit. Let's see if we can come around here and just get it right through there. Just get it right in that little tiny crevice right there. Oh, we did it. Pull it through. Oops, so you got to be careful, holding everything in place so I don't wonk it out. Just roll it through, stretch it out, roll it through, stretch it out. It's like an aerobic exercise with wire. It's like you're the trainer and you're helping the wire do Pilates or yoga or something. All right, now let's look at the front, see if anything looks super weird. Anything got pulled out of place? Yes, it did. Let's push it back where we want it. We want this back in the middle, and we want this. Now again, you don't have to do all this extra securing. It was pretty secure before this, but I'm just showing you, if you want to make your piece really, really secure. So it's the hug test. When somebody's wearing this on their neck and the pendant is against their chest, you want them to be able to hug somebody very aggressively and press their chest to somebody else's in a deep state of affection. Getting a little crazy here. And whatever that other person is wearing, say both people are wearing a necklace and there's buttons on shirts and all kinds of stuff, and let's say they hug and they hug tight. You don't want anything to get grabbed or yanked or wonked out on the necklace. That's the hug test. If it can withstand aggressive hugging, then you have done your job. So just pinching and tweaking and tightening up little things here and there. And I have just enough left to bring this guy up. That was my plan. Bring this guy back up, wrap around at least once so I can get the sharp end tucked in right there. I have just enough. Oof, came close that time. I didn't think I'd need this guy. I could also have used this wire to do some if I ran out of the other one. But this one's just going to scarf, and let's see. Let's push this down. I want this tighter. There we go. I want that tighter. And I want this more there. I want these two spread out more. I don't know if I can have everything I want, but I'm going for it. I'm trying to mold this now. You can take your time. I want these two closer. They keep bouncing back. I'm going to actually take this and see if I can twist it to get it where I want. Literally twisting that loop. I just completely destroyed that loop by twisting it. And by doing, careful, I slipped a little bit. It didn't make a scratch or anything. By doing that, I got the amethyst to sit more center where I wanted the big amethyst. These I still want stretched out. Okay, everything is moving more how I like. Yours will definitely vary, I would say, because this is a lot of experimentation. But just have a ton of fun with this. Have a ton of fun. Do you hear me? I mean, now it's not even a teardrop shape. It's that's a wider curve. there, and then this is a more delicate curve. It's almost turning into like an S type shape. It's almost like getting its own personality there. I left this wire because I wasn't sure if I wanted to put a little swirl at the end. Maybe a little swirl right there. Let's give it a shot and see what it... Should we? Swirl. Yeah, let's do it. Let's see what it looks like. Maybe cut a little more. And if we don't like it, we can uncoil it, probably. You got to grab real tight or else you'll scratch the wire. All right, there's our coil. And if we put it right there, what do we think? Right there? No, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I'm undoing it. And I don't even need this much. Just cut it off. Cut off a little more. And we're just going to scarf it the rest of the way. Actually, that's good enough. We'll tuck it in right there. Tuck it into that little bowl made by the scarf. Boom. Pull these two loops closer together. There we go. That's moving a little bit. It's easy. Just grab that part that was holding it and just give it a little crimp, a little twist. Pulls everything tighter. Voila. Yeah, it's kind of becoming a little more elongated than the other one from yesterday. This is a totally different piece. We're having so much fun. Now I want to, yeah, I like, that's fine like that. Put some jump rings and hang a pretty chain.